Hello, everyone, and welcome to Mindset Shifts and the What Ifs. I am so excited to be here with you. And I already see, thanks, Amanda, that we've got some folks here with us. So if you're here with us, let me know in the chat. Amanda, can't wait to hear what you're talking about today. So amazing. I'm so excited about this. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Lauren Lefkowitz. I'm an executive leadership coach. My tagline is "Fine is a trap." And what that means is that fine is this way that we get where we just settle. We're not excited necessarily about what we're doing. It's not bad enough that we're going to be ready to do anything about it. But then it becomes worse and worse and worse. And we still keep justifying that it's fine. We see this so much in our careers. And my life's mission is to help everybody escape the trap of being fine, like I did for myself. I am a former workaholic, people pleaser, and perfectionist, and I have worked my way into the life that I never dreamed I could have. And I freaking love it. So, welcome to the show. And oh boy, we've got a lot of people here with us. Lauren giving me some applause. Thank you very much. And we've got Dana saying hi, and Kendra looking forward to this, and Denise saying hi. Oh, thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited. Okay. So this is our launch episode. So hopefully it goes smoothly, but if it doesn't, well, we're all just playing, right? So this is sort of a combination game show talk show where I am going to spin a wheel of chance with a whole bunch of topics on it. And I'm going to talk to you about whatever topic comes up. So are you ready to play? And again, if you're with me, if you've just joined, come and say hi. John Spears, you're here too. Awesome. Oh, what a great group of people we have with us. Amber's here. Hey, from North Carolina. Hey, Amber. Thank you so much for being here. All right, let's get started. Okay. So we are going to spin this wheel and give me 1 second. Okay. So you should be able to see now. Yes. My wheel of chance, my random name generator, wheel of names. So whole bunch of topics on here. I'm going to go ahead and click spin. Let's see what comes up. It's very exciting. Ah, yes, winner. See if you are fine. Oh, I love this topic so much. So that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. What the ham sandwich is fine. What is fine? How do you know if you're fine? How do you determine what's fine being fine? What's not fine being fine? And then what do you do? Right? So I'm going to take questions today as we're talking. And in addition to taking questions here live in the chat, if you are a little bit shy about asking a question live, because like maybe your employer might be watching and you're on a live with an executive coach and that makes you feel a little bit icky, or maybe you have a question that you just don't want everybody to know. So I'm going to give you a phone number. It is a Google Voice number. And I'm going to just leave it up here. If you have questions during the conversation, go ahead and text me. I'm going to keep that handy. And I won't know who you are because I don't have any numbers saved in my Google Voice. So I'm just going to keep checking that every once in a while and seeing if anything comes through. And also, you can ask me questions in the chat. And we've got Mosh in the audience as well. Hello. Thanks for saying hi. All right. So what is fine? Like, how did fine as a trap even come about? And what even is it? So fine is this way of being. And it's really, I don't think that there's much of anything that's fine. I mean, I think breakfast can be fine, although I really like a good breakfast. Breakfast is really my favorite meal of the day. But I think in our lives, in our work, in our relationships, in our friendships, in our home life, in our self-care, in the pets that we choose to have, in the hobbies that we choose to have, none of that should be fine. We get to have feelings about everything, anything that matters to us. And what happens to us in our careers, especially, because that's my area of focus, what happens to us in our careers is that we start in a place And we're excited because we're growing, or we're making money for the first time in our adult lives, or we're working with a really fun team of people, or we have a lot of flexibility, or, right? There can be a lot of things that are exciting about our careers. And when I think back to my own career, what was so exciting for me when I finally got into HR after trying 3 other careers, which were a meeting planning assistant, an accountant, and a salesperson. When I got into HR, I loved it. And I spent 20 years in HR, and I loved it for 15 of those years, the first 15. And what happened was I got promotions, I got money, I got titles, I got direct reports, I got additional responsibilities, and I kept getting hungry for more. And then I wasn't hungry anymore. And I felt stunted. And I felt like I had hit this point in my career where it just wasn't fun anymore. And not only wasn't it fun, but it felt like this really heavy weight. It felt like only responsibility without the reward. But it's what I knew. It was what I learned how to do. It was who I had become as a career person, and who I had become really as an adult, because I was working 80 plus hours a week. I didn't really have other things in my life. I had friends, I had amazing friends who were very tolerant of my busyness. But I basically worked and I slept. And because I was so into my career, I kept justifying as it got busier, as I got more responsibility, that it was fine. And it wasn't fine. But if it wasn't fine, then it was terrible. And if it was terrible, then I needed to do something about it. And I didn't know what to do about it. And so instead, it was fine. And this is the client base that I work with, are people who have gotten to a place or a time in their career where what was really cool at one point, where what felt really fulfilling and really amazing and full of growth and excitement and team and fun, just isn't anymore. And we aren't yet ready to admit that it's fine, which isn't really fine. And so we get to this place where we get out of bed every day with a groan, and we feel like, there's not really a lot for us. There's not really a lot that we're excited about. But if we say it's terrible, if we say that we're not having fun, if we say that we're not enjoying ourselves, if we say that we're not fulfilled, and also we don't know what to do next, how to fix it, how to make it better, how to make it more fun, how to make it more fulfilling, well, then we have to say we're fine, right? Because otherwise we're sort of broken. And that's what ends up happening to a lot of us, is we've been justifying for so long that it's fine, that we can't even really notice that it's not fine anymore. And so I have a lot of people who come and talk to me and say, like, well, how do I know if I'm fine, or if I'm like making up that I'm fine to cover up that I'm not fine? And so my answer to that is to really notice, right? So I have this like super easy 3-step program, right? Notice, decide, do. So easy. Not so easy. It takes a lot of work to notice, make decisions, and actually then move. And there are a bunch of steps in between there. But the very first step is really to notice, to look around, to pay attention to your day, your week, your month. What happens when your paycheck comes in? Do you feel good? And do you feel like, yes, I'm being rewarded for doing amazing work that I love? Or do you feel like, well, at least I'm getting paid for this crap? Right? What do you notice about your day? Where does your energy go? What are you spending your time on? What is bringing you joy, and what is bringing you down? What is sort of dragging on you? And we just don't pay attention to that because we get into this automatic way of being where we wake up every day and it feels the same. And Sundays we get the scaries, and Mondays we wake up with the groan. And by Monday afternoon, everybody's so glad that you, who takes care of everybody, is back from the weekend and can help them with all of the things they've been thinking about all weekend that they want you to do and be in charge of. And if you stop and notice and you get that sinking feeling and you say to yourself, this is not fine, that's the first step, because then you get to start thinking about doing something about it. So then you have to decide, right? Is what do you actually want to do things about, and what do you not really care to do things about? And I actually have a tool. It's really like, it almost feels planned that my first topic is fine as a trap, because like, how do you know you're fine? Because it's like the thing I love talking about most. It's the reason that I have this business. So it almost seems like a rigged wheel of names, but I don't actually know how to rig an electronic tool on a website. But the cool thing is I have a tool for you, which is the Find as a Trap inventory or quiz or checklist. You can call it different things regionally, but the Find as a Trap inventory, which is at findasatrap.com, actually walks you through your corporate life. And it asks you a bunch of questions about how things are with your environment, with money, with the job you do, with your boss, with people who report to you, with how many hours you work, your commute, if you have one, all of those kinds of things, and helps you evaluate whether it's fine or not fine, right? Um, and so you get to take that first step in noticing. You get to take that first step in seeing how things are. In coaching, we talk a lot about what exists right now, which is I have a love-hate relationship with, because I often find that when somebody asks me what is, or what is so, or what is real right now, that it's often stuff I'm making up, right? I make up rules, I make up truths. And so often it's what I've decided is true and what I've decided is possible. And I need somebody else to ask me, like, is that really true? Is that really what's happening? And then I get to really look at myself, right? And so that's part of that decision process, right? So if you're going from notice, decide, do, it's deciding, what did I see? What do I see about myself? What do I see about my surroundings, about my possibilities or my lack of possibilities? And then how do I decide what I want to take care of and what I don't? And sometimes when we discover what is so and what is real for us and what our truths are, we realize that we don't want those truths, and they don't have to be those truths. And I remember the first time I talked to my very first coach, I was actually information gathering and asking her about a coaching training program that she had been in, and checking all the boxes. And I said to her, gosh, I don't know how I'm going to fit this in. I already work 80 to 100 hours a week, and that can't change. And that was my reality. That was my truth. And she said, if you say so. And all of my blood boiled, and I couldn't believe she was saying that. I was like so furious at her. And I thought, well, you don't understand. You don't work in a corporate environment. And then I realized she was right, that I was deciding that my life was an 80+ hour work week. And that was it. That was my option. And so the beauty of bouncing that off of someone else was that I didn't have to figure my own stuff out by myself. And that's another way we get stuck in this fine trap, is that I work with high achievers and people pleasers and workaholics and perfectionists. And I'm including myself in that group. We are my favorite people. And we are my favorite people because we are smart. We are clever people. Not to toot my own horn, but I'm tooting my own horn. We are clever people, and we can solve all the world's problems. We can solve everything for everyone. And then we look at ourselves and we say, well, if I'm such a good problem solver and I'm so creative at finding solutions, and I can't solve my own problems. There must not be a solution to my own problems. And therefore, this is where I'm stuck, and that is fine. And it makes me laugh now because I recognize myself in that so much. And I thought for so many years, and I was coaching people for so many years, sort of vicariously and like living through them, that I could help them make their dreams come true. But it wasn't for me, it wasn't available to me. And it's a thing I made up. It's a thing I had decided because I couldn't solve my own problems, concerns, way of being, way of life on my own. When I learned to receive help, when I learned to accept support and ask for support proactively, not only did my network open up, and I network and have friends all over the world now, not only did my world open up in terms of friendships and networking and other coaches supporting me and me supporting other coaches, but my capacity to receive help opened up. And that was something I just didn't think I had in me. That was something that I thought like, well, I'm an independent person. I grew up independent. I made my own choices. I decided to live where I live after college and not look back and go back to my parents. I decided to, have this career and do these jobs and live in this place and have this dog and, all of those kinds of things. And therefore I thought I was responsible for making it all amazing. When I learned to receive support, when I learned that I was making up the rule that I had to work 80 or more hours a week, that I was making up the rule that if there was an interim position in the company I worked for, that it was my responsibility to raise my hand and say, I'll do it. I'll take on the interim responsibilities. That it was my responsibility to not set boundaries so other people could set boundaries, so other people were taken care of. When I started to recognize that all that stuff was stuff I was making up as my responsibility, then I got support in taking really little steps in order to untangle from that, in order to learn to set boundaries, in order to learn to set limits on my work time. And what happened then was that I had the capacity in my brain to think about what I actually wanted. And Amanda says it's so easy to make up those rules and stories. Yeah, Amanda, you and I have talked about that. Like all the things that we think are these truths that we think are our responsibility to be and handle and be for other people and do for ourselves. We're making it up. And I'm not discounting that many of us do have responsibilities, especially when we have responsibilities to other people, children, partners, aging parents, all of that kind of stuff. So there are some really real needs out there, but so much of what we put on our plates and what we set as our responsibilities and our limitations is what we make up. And when I had that brain space and I was only working 60 hours a week, which is not what I do anymore, but when I had that extra sort of 20 hours a week of space in my head, and the support of a coach, what I finally got brave enough to say was, I want to be coaching full time. And the first time I said it was, I want to be coaching full time, but you can't make any money being a full time coach. I don't know where I got that. I don't know where I made that up. Money's easier to come by than I thought it was. But I made it up that I couldn't be a business owner, that I couldn't work just for me, that I needed a company paycheck from another company, that I needed benefits from another company. And what I discovered through the work that I did on my own with my coach, with the support of friends and other coaches, was that I realized that if I didn't just like dive in all at once, that if I took my time, that if I gave myself the space and the energy, that I could decide what my future was. And it could be whatever I wanted it to be. And almost 2 years ago, I left my corporate job and took Lauren Lefkowitz coaching, Fine as a Trap, to a full-time business. And I still, like, former me cannot believe this. Future me is like, it's about freaking time. And current me is pretty darn happy and having like a whole bunch of fun doing what I'm doing and being how I'm being. And it's also hard. I don't recommend entrepreneurship for everybody, but I do recommend this for everybody. When you go to sleep tonight or when you wake up tomorrow morning, if you journal, and if you do journal, connect to Amanda Stern, who's in my comments. She's a journaling coach and she's freaking fantastic. But if you journal, or if you're a person who thinks out loud, or if you meditate, do this exercise. Sit with yourself quietly for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and picture future you. 5 years in the future, 10 years in the future. And do this exercise where you're having an amazing day. Future you is having an amazing day. And tell me everything that happened that day. And then think about today. That if you keep living today the way that you're living, in the things that are fine and keeping them sort of fine, just keeping them fine as they are, can you have that day in the future? Can you have that 5 years from now day? And if the answer is no, then it's time to do something. And what that something is up to you. It can be starting with a book. It can be starting with a friend who's not a commiserator. You got to be careful who you start talking to. And I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But a friend who is a productive friend and a supportive friend, or a mentor or a coach or a workshop or a class or a training program or certification. There's so many avenues to start going after what's fine and figure out what's actually going to be amazing and how you get there and what the steps are going to be. And you get to live whatever kind of life you're willing to live. And so many of us are too scared to take that first step because it seems like it's so many steps. And the truth it is so many steps. I'm still doing the work, and I will be doing the work for the rest of my life, but I'm doing the work and I'm aligning myself with people who are doing the work, who are building the lives that they want or have built the lives that they want, and now they're building more. And I'm doing that because, and this is where I'm going to come back to your commiserating friends. First of all, we all need to commiserate. We need to vent. We need to decide, are we looking for a solution or are we looking for just an ear, right? So I'm not against commiseration or complaining. I do it. We all do it. But then what is what you want to ask yourself next? And is the person that you're talking to, whether it's a partner or spouse, whether it is a friend or a family member, if you're going to put out the scary thing and say, like, I'm thinking about doing this, I'm thinking about changing careers, or I'm thinking about quitting my job for a while, or I'm thinking about going out on my own, or I'm thinking about writing a book, or singing, or dancing, or running, or whatever it is. If that's the kind of person who says, oh, that seems really hard or really risky or really scary, or what if you get injured, or what if you get tired, or what if you can't do it, or, what if you have to get up in front of people and talk, right? And they take the little fears that are in your head and they bring them to life. That commiserating friend is not going to be healthy for you because they're going to help keep you in fine. So, before we go, we've got a comment from Kendra. So exciting and sometimes scary to discover what you do want to do and that the barriers are less than you imagine. Yes. Oof, we get so stuck in the middle of the story and in the what ifs. That's why the title of this show is Mindset Shifts and the What Ifs. We get so stuck in the what ifs, and especially in the what if I fails, and we step backwards. We decide not to try. So my challenge for you is to try that exercise, try the future you exercise, just 5 minutes or 10 minutes where you talk to yourself about the end of a day, 5 years from now, future you. And then you look at today, and is that possible for you today? And if it's not possible for you today, then you want to figure out why. So I'm going to end there. Thank you so much for joining me. I do have one text that came in, but it is a comment and not a question. So it's someone asking me for more so telling me they want to share some information with me. So I'm not going to read that one out loud or bring it to the screen. But Thank you for being here for the inaugural episode. I will be here every Tuesday at 7:05 p.m. Eastern. If you have any questions, if you have topic ideas, if you want to chat about something, shoot me a DM or go to my About section and you can see how to make an appointment with me. Also, if you go to my page where I had that fine as a trap inventory, you can also find it just under my headline, and you get that for free, and you can assess for yourself how fine things are. Thanks so much for being here, and I'll see you next time.